Hello there guys, RMP792 here, and I said that once I'd finished Deus Machina Demonbane I would do a final thoughts vlog on it, which is what I do on the occasions when the game's long enough that I have to write the review without actually having finished the game. So, final thoughts on Deus Machina Demonbane. Honestly, they're pretty much the same as the ones I had in the review. I like it. There are moments when I really got into it. But I think it would be a better game if they cut the sex out. Because whenever that game was trying to do sexy content, it was done in a way that skeeved me the hell out. And I don't know if that's a cultural thing in Japan, or if it's just that particular game, because it was going for a very sort of dark Cthulhu, Lovecraftian-inspired thing, was deliberately playing with kind of the darker side of human sexuality, which I'll freely admit kind of skeeves me the hell out. That bit of it just wasn't for me, but the rest of it, no, I really like the rest of it. For those of you who haven't seen the Let's Play, I ended up completing it on the Owl route, and the ending I got was, I think, probably the best one. I don't know. It seemed reasonably, it seemed very much a sort of happy ending anyway, so I'm pretty content with that. So what have I got to talk about? So, some spoilers here. Actually, I might just start using this as an opportunity to talk about visual novels in general. I am not a fan of the visual novel genre unless I'm Let's Playing it. And that seems weird, but here's the thing. When I'm just reading something, I'll be honest, I like to be laying down over there with a paperback book. Or, well, I'll take a hardback, but I prefer a paperback. And that's just the way that I prefer to read. I like to be comfortable, I like to really sort of immerse myself in what I'm reading. And I can't do that when I'm sitting in my PC, in my PC chair here, and sitting in front of my screen and clicking at the end of every text box. And it's a lot harder for me to get into. Whereas, if I'm doing it, because basically I start to get bored and I start skipping past stuff, which is not good. If I'm doing it as a Let's Play, where I'm narrating every line of dialogue, I'm doing all the narration, I'm doing every character voice, I can get a lot more into it because it requires all of my focus and all of my concentration, and it doesn't slip because I'm focused on it and I'm doing it, and bar the odd bit of me sort of breaking off for a second to waffle, I'm focused on what I'm reading, and that allows me to get a lot more into it. So visual novels for me are definitely a genre that I would not be a fan of if I weren't doing them for this channel. But I do love doing them for the channel. It actually really works for me as a kind of, just an opportunity to indulge myself and just talk constantly. Because here's the thing, the reason why I can happily do a 4-hour recording session of something like XCOM 2, which I did, is quite simply that I'm not talking as much. Whereas with something like Demonbane, where I'm doing all the narration, I'm doing every character voice, it starts to be a real strain on my throat. I can only really do 2, maybe 3-hour stints before my voice starts to get really shot, and obviously that's not good for me. I've got to say, doing this really has made me appreciate why the Voice Actors Guild in America started to get really uppity when there was some dodgy contracts being imposed on them. Because their general attitude is, they can't really work for more than a couple of hours at a time without really starting to knacker their voices in. And yeah, now that I've done this, I can completely appreciate where they were coming from on that. So, yeah. But as I say, visual novels as a genre, I actually really like when I have the opportunity to sit down, let's play the hell out of them, and just get really into it. Because I really like reading these things to you people. I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's my ego, but, I do like doing it. And the fight scenes in particular in Demonbane, I actually thought were really good and really well written. And as I say, those bits I really liked. Particularly the final battle between Demonbane and Liber Legis, I really got into that, and I hope that comes across in the way I read it, but we'll see. See what the comments are, because I won't make this vlog live until after the last part of the Let's Play has officially gone live. But I'm recording this on the Friday before the last parts of it go up. But yeah, so honestly, those really are my final thoughts. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a very good, very well written story, but the way it handles sex is just not for me. So yeah, those are my final thoughts. If people are interested, I would potentially be interested in doing the other routes, because from what I've heard, they are very different, and yeah, so I would potentially be interested in that. Somebody who has played them, with as few spoilers as possible, please give me an indication of where you think I could take it from, because if you tell me that I basically need to take it 100% from the top and do it as a complete fresh from the beginning Let's Play, that's fine, I'll do that. But if you think there's a reasonable cutoff point where I can basically, work my way through, and there's a sort of point where everything really changes, and you think I'm okay doing it from there rather than having to repeat lots of stuff, let me know. That would be appreciated. And again, as few spoilers as possible, please, because obviously, if I do end up doing these other routes, because I mean, back when I started this Patreon, one of the lowest, thing for the collective totals, which I think I said like 250 quid a month, was basically, no, it was 250 bucks a month, which is actually a lot less than 250 quid. Was basically I'd do other romance tracks of various things. I haven't got that yet, but I might be tempted. Put it this way, at the very least I'll have a couple of weeks off, but I could be tempted. We'll see. We will see what happens. So yeah, so those pretty much were my final thoughts on Deus Machina Demonbane, or at least the AL route of it. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in future series.